Welcome back, Battletech enthusiasts. This is a replacement for my old audio log on scouts and a description of what the scout is. Now, first you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of a scout? The purpose of a scout, it's either to try to get some back shots on a mech, like a guard, to guide LRMs for indirect fire, but try to not receive any return fire, or possibly do some strange mission like hunt down the LRM carriers in the back that don't seem to have much defense, or possibly go hunt down some infantry that are acting as spotters or something. For a scout, it's important not to pay battle value that you're not going to use. So the ultimate cheapo vehicle scout car is the original Swiftwind with the internal combustion engine modification or variant. It's dirt cheap, and it functions effectively as a scout. Another really good form of scout is infantry, because you can drop them off with a Karnov. If you have a jump jet, you can only fit one infantry into a Karnov, but if you have just foot soldier, just foot lead, then you can put two platoons into a Karnov. And the Karnov itself can act as a scout, and it's inexpensive. So there you go, you get multiple scouts at once. But the ultimate scout, I believe, is actually the Warrior H7 variant specifically. Not the H7A, because that has an autocannon 5, even though it does a lot more damage. But the H7 has an autocannon 2 and an SRM 4. The autocannon 2 has a long enough range that if you win initiative, you can always position yourself in a way that LRMs cannot shoot back. That means if you play it properly, the Warrior is almost indestructible. And for a modern day equivalent, I think of this as like an alligator, Russian alligator helicopter. Now, if you're a mech purist, then you might be forced to go for something else, maybe a Stinger. The Stinger is the cheapest and worst mech as far as, at least in my battle simulations, it has the lowest probability of defeating any other mech, even the 20-ton mechs of all variants. So the Stinger is the worst mech. However, it's got machine guns and jump jets, and it's the cheapest mech. So if you consider its low battle value, and the fact that its machine guns make it good at hunting down infantry, it's worth a second look. Even though the Stinger versus other mechs is pretty much always going to lose, it has a place on the map. It's a cheap scout, and it's got anti-infantry built in. The Wasp is considerably better against other mechs, at least in my combat simulations. However, it is a little more costly than the Stinger too. But it lacks a anti-infantry. Well, it's got the SRM, but it's not as good as machine guns against infantry. But it is another option. Now, the Locust is a completely awesome, badass scout. Its only drawback of all its variants, that is the 1V, which is the standard, the 1S, the 1E, and even the 1M, is that it doesn't have jump jets. But its speed is such a benefit that you just don't need the jump jets. You get such a high bonus from your movement that your speed is your armor, more so than with the Stinger and the Wasp. The Locust moves so quickly that it's very hard to hit. So it actually can beat an LRM carrier. Now you can always just move on up to bigger and bigger light mechs, like for taking a commando or something, but you're just going to pay more and more battle value, so you have to be careful. If you do take a commando, sure, it's going to be better against light mechs, but you're paying for battle value. And one of the key tenets of a light mech is that you really should not, or of a scout, is that you really should not be engaging in combat unless it's under a completely desperate scenario, or you're on a special mission to take out some infantry or something, or stand at a waypoint. Now, the Goblin, even though by itself is more of a combat vehicle with a large laser, you can think of it sort of serving a scout purpose because you can, or spotting purpose because it can drop off a squad. It can't carry a platoon unless you take a variant that can fit a platoon, in which case you lose most of its weaponry. But it's effective at dropping off a scout, so I kind of think of it as maybe a scout. The same thing now goes for the Maxim hover transport. It's fast, and this time it can carry more troops, so you can carry a platoon. So this is like serious scouting capability. It's it also has some combat capability and high speed, but you're kind of paying for it with battle value, so you're not really taking it just for its scouting ability, that is, in dropping off infantry. Now back to mech purists. The Phoenix Hawk is supposedly a scout, at least in Battletech lore, though it more kind of functions as a overpriced light mech, or well, it's a medium mech, but it plays as a little bit weak. Now the Lamb version, very costly. Any mech that has a Lamb mechanism, you're going to just pay up the nose for its capabilities. So here, the Phoenix Hawk Lamb, but the same applies for the Wasp and Stinger Lambs, or any Lamb, Shadowhawk Lamb. It's very costly for what you get, but it does give you the ability to hover like a VTOL, and that might be worth considering, but I think they're too expensive. And the final scout is the Charger. The 1A variant is the original concept, which is just a super heavy scout, putting a lot of its tonnage into its engine and some into armor, but nothing into weapons. Now, I wouldn't use it, but maybe someone has found a way to take advantage of the fact that it has very low battle value. It's like 900 or 800 battle value or something like that. It's just some super cheap mech for an assault mech. So then, what is the ultimate scout? None of these are the ultimate scout. They're all doomed. There's only one true ultimate scout. The Steiner Scout Squad. Those were all just target drones anyway. Even the Steiner ones. The Steiner Scout Squad is the self-contained everything. The Steiner Scout Squad is a long-running joke in Battletech that goes back to the 80s. And the idea is that Steiner loves assault mechs and atlases so much, and have so many of them spare that they just use them for scouts. So leave your comments as to what you think about scouts and whether you agree or disagree. I actually kind of forgot about the Savannah Master. That's okay also. It's a hover scout, but it's also a hunter and a combat scout too. But anyway, leave your comments, and hopefully you will like these enough to subscribe so you can see updates when I update my videos.